Right, we'll look to make a start now, everyone. So thanks for joining us this evening. So what we're doing tonight is the phase 2 of the COMET Club training. So within this webinar, we'll be going through the introduction of what we're going to be covering this evening, club affiliation, how to pay club affiliation and league affiliation fees, and also player registrations. So just an update on player registrations in general, as well as a bit of a training, bit of a walkthrough on how to do each type of player registration. We'll then finish the session by outlining the next steps with regards to how we're going to proceed with COMET training. So just a bit of housekeeping at the beginning for you. Due to the numbers on the webinar, we have muted all microphones and turned off cameras as well. We'll be recording this webinar, so don't worry, sit back and relax. You don't need to take any notes this evening. It's all going to be recorded, as well as the presentation being sent out. We'll look to get this done tomorrow. But with regards to the Q&A section, any questions you ask this evening, we will look to get back to those, but it might be a bit earlier next week. Now, with regards to any questions being asked this evening, this webinar is focusing solely on affiliation, competition entry fees, and how to do player registrations. So any questions such as to do with competition management, that will be covered in phase 3. So we're not going to be looking to go into detail there or answer those questions at this time. That will be covered in the next phase of training. So just to begin with, what can you do so far on COMET since we've begun this season? So up to now, you've been able to do the following things. Register all of your coaches, staff and officials. This window opened on the 22nd of June. Since this date, we've had over 7,500 people register on the system. So well done to all of you as clubs and all those individuals that you've been getting registered so far. You've also been able to update all of your club information on COMET. So this includes things such as adding your teams, your club kits, contact details, logo, etc. Information on how to do all of this is on our new COMET support website, which, as you can see here as well, it's now open and the link is on the page if you need to look at this for any further assistance. You've also been able to enter FAW Cup competitions. So again, another big well done to all of you as clubs, because these deadlines have now closed, and despite only having a small time frame to enter, every single competition has received record entry levels this year through the COMET system. Over 600 teams in total. So yeah, brilliant. Well done, everyone. We would now ask that clubs continue to do all the above information, such as coaches, staff and official registrations, and updating any club information if not already done so. These things will be required prior to you being able to submit your club accreditation applications, and also for the senior sections of clubs. If you don't register your coaches or your staff members, you can't add them to team sheets, so you won't be able to do those team sheets on the COMET system until they are registered. So what's going to be happening over the next few weeks on COMET now? So as you've already received communications on, the player registrations window will be opening on Monday, so Monday, July 27th. As well as the player registration window opening, club affiliation fees will also be available to purchase by no later than Monday, and must be done by the 1st of August to avoid incurring a higher fee at times. Competition entries will also start to go live from Monday, July 27th. So as you can see with all these deadlines, it's a busy time at the minute, but we're looking forward to getting everything up and running for you so you can start doing these things. Another note we sent out recently is that the opening of the 2020-21 season club accreditation window has been delayed. And this is to give you clubs as much time as possible to get all of your coaches, staff and officials registered on the system. Because the way it's going to work this year, unless you have your coaches, staff and officials registered, you can't actually submit the workbooks via COMET. So it's important that you get this done first before looking to do your club accreditation application. It's now going to open in August, and we will confirm this date with you closer to the time when this is known. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Becky, and she's just going to go over a recap of what we've been doing so far in terms of coach, staff and official registrations.
Thanks, Dan. As Dan has mentioned, well done to all of you who have started your coach, staff and officials registrations. Since the 22nd of June, you can see on the screen the figures that have already registered. So 575 clubs have been registering coaches and staff and have registered at least one coach or staff member. This is 61% of the total number, so there's still a number of clubs that haven't started, so we'd encourage you to get started as soon as you can. Just a reminder that a coach or staff member is only registered and insured and covered by the personal accident insurance when the status of their registration on COMET is at confirmed. So please make sure that you submit your coach and staff registrations when you've got the signed registration forms uploaded to them. We've got 2,288 registrations for coaches and staff currently at entered status, and a large number of these, 777, were started in June, so there's been quite some time for people to sign their forms. So we would just remind you, if you've got that form signed and uploaded, to make sure you do submit it to get the registration finalised. As Dan has mentioned, you can't start your club accreditation application until you've got all the needed coaches and staff members registered. We've also had a good start on officials registrations. So far, 2,554 registrations are on COMET. Over 2,000 of those are confirmed, but there are still a number entered, 540 currently. 479 clubs, leagues and areas have been registering officials, but this is only 47% of the total number of organisations. So we'd encourage those of you who haven't started to get them registered. As with coaches and staff, officials are only registered when the status of the registration is at confirmed. These don't need to be approved by the FAW. So when you've got them entered, had the signed registration form and uploaded it, you're able to confirm them yourself. So please don't forget to confirm those that are currently at entered. As for competitions and paying the competition entry fees on COMET, as Dan mentioned, the cup competitions have been very well entered, so thank you for that. From next Monday, the 27th of July, we're starting to open further competitions, more FAW competitions and the following tier 4 and below competitions. So these are for adults, youth competitions and junior competitions, which are only the girls competitions and the Flintshire Junior League only. These are the ones that will be using competition management on COMET. For those of you who aren't using competition management on COMET this season, you need to carry on entering them in the same way as you have previously with your leagues. So moving forward, every Monday, starting next Monday, the 27th of July, we'll publish on the COMET support website an updated list of the competitions that are open on COMET. When you enter the competition and make the payment, you'll need to select which of your listed teams will enter the competition. So if you haven't yet added your teams to your My Club profile, please do this ahead of entering the competitions. And you can find a guide to doing this on the COMET support website. You can find the competition by clicking on the link that you'll find on the COMET support website, and this will take you directly to the product. And there's also a guide to this on the COMET support website. We'll now look at how to pay your affiliation fees for the coming season on COMET. So there are 3 types of affiliation fee for the 2020-21 season. These are club affiliation fees for clubs who must either affiliate with the FAW or with one of the area associations. There are affiliation fees for leagues who affiliate with the FAW or an area association, and the affiliation fees for the area associations who affiliate with the FAW. The club affiliation fees are split into 3 categories: adult club affiliation, youth club affiliation, and junior club affiliation. And the league affiliation fees are also split into these categories: adult leagues, youth leagues, and junior leagues. So key principles on which affiliation fee you need to select. If you're from a club, and you operate both adult male and female sections, you only need to purchase the one adult club affiliation fee, and this will cover both adult sections. The same applies if you operate junior boys and girls sections. You only need to purchase one junior club affiliation fee, and that covers both the boys and the girls. If, however, you operate adult, youth and junior sections, you need to separately purchase the affiliation for each of those sections. Looking at league affiliation fees, If the same league operates both adult male and adult female competitions, again, it only has to purchase one adult league affiliation fee, which will cover both competitions. And again, if the league operates both junior boys and junior girls competitions or mixed junior competitions, it only has to purchase one junior league affiliation fee, and that will cover all junior competitions. But if the same league operates adult, youth and junior competitions, then it needs to separately buy the adult league affiliation fee, youth league affiliation fee, and junior league affiliation fee, whichever applies. The deadline to affiliate is the 1st of August, and if you don't affiliate by that date, there may be an increased charge applied. As part of the affiliation process, there are also some additional things you need to do to prepare. That is fairly straightforward, and I'll go through it in a video in a moment, but just to list them briefly, you need to enter the date that your club was founded, select your home ground on your My Club page, create and save your playing kits, add the different teams you operate and your My Club profile, which, as we've mentioned, you'll need to do for club affiliation and to enter competitions as well. Upload a copy of your financial accounts if this is required by the organisation that you're affiliating to, and make sure that all your club officials are registered on COMET. Leagues and areas have to follow a similar process, enter in the date that their league or area association was founded, send in a copy of their financial accounts to the COMET competitions email address, which you can see here, and ensuring that all the league or area association officials are registered on COMET. All the different affiliation fees, prices and links to purchase the products will be available in a list on the FAW COMET support website by no later than Monday. This will be in the Making Payments section. In the same section, you'll also find a user guide explaining how to affiliate on COMET. And you'll find a guide to show you how to purchase more than one affiliation fee in the same transaction. So this means you can, if you're buying, for example, as an adult and a junior affiliation fee, you don't need to log in twice. Buy the links, you can put them in the same shopping basket and buy them. And we'll show you this in a moment. I'll just show you a short video on how to prepare for buying your affiliation fees and how to buy them on My COMET. This applies to clubs, but it's a very similar process for leagues and area associations. So if you could log into COMET, click on clubs and My Club, this is where you need to enter the information that you need to provide. So if you click edit, you're then able to add the date of foundation of your club, one of the requirements. You'll need to put a full date. So if you only know the year, just put a generic date like the 1st of January in that year. To add your stadium, start to type it into the stadium box, and then you should get some options. Click on the right option you can fill. To add documents, click on the documents button, and this pop-up box will then open. You then need to click on the type box and select other in the drop-down menu. Then click choose, and you'll be able to upload the relevant document from your computer. Make sure you save that so the information is kept on your My Club page. You also need to add your teams, as we've mentioned. So click on the Teams tab, and then you're able to click New Team to add any additional teams to the teams already listed. And then, as we've mentioned, you also need to add club kits. Click on the Club Kits tab to do this, and click Add. We won't show you the full process of adding the colours for the kit, but you can find a user guide to this on the FAW COMET support website. And finally, you need to make sure that you've registered all your coaches and officials for your club. And you can see who's registered by clicking on the Coaches or Officials tabs. Next, we'll show you how to buy the affiliation fee once you've done all these things that are required. So as we've mentioned, there'll be a list of links on the COMET support website. You need to click on the link that's relevant to the fee you need to buy. If it's more than one fee, just click on one of the links. It'll take you to the COMET login page. You should log in using your normal details. and you'll be taken directly to the product in My COMET. So here you can see it's the West Wales FA affiliation fee for adult clubs. You then need to tick the boxes to agree to abide by the rules and regulations of the organisation you're affiliating to confirm that your club officials are registered, and to confirm that you've added the information we've just gone through on your My Club page. If required, there'll also be a tick box to confirm that you've added your financial information in the document section. You then add this to your cart. And if you want to buy another product, you click on products on the left-hand side of the page. So for example, here, we're also buying junior club accreditation. So you find that on the list and then tick the boxes. So you'll note here we're buying both these affiliations from the West Wales FA. If you're buying from a different organisation, you'll need to do this in a separate transaction. You can see here both the products are added in the trolley. So any products you're buying from one single organisation, buy in the same transaction and add them both to your trolley. When you click on the trolley icon then in the top right of the page, you're taken to the checkout summary. You need to read and agree to the terms and conditions and tick the box to continue. Then click on the PayPal button. And this will take you to the PayPal login page, which I'm sure you're familiar with now from using through My COMET. So log into PayPal using your normal details. And when you're logged in, you'll be able to see the cost of the two products you've chosen then. And then you just click Pay Now. So when this is processed, you'll be taken back to the My Club page. Sorry, not the My Club page, the My COMET page. There we are, the payment's been successfully processed. You'll be told this on screen and you're taken back to My COMET. And there you can see the products you've bought listed, and you can click on the printer icon to print out a paid invoice for those products. If now at this stage you need to buy something from a different seller or organisation, for example, competition entry, we'd recommend you go back to the document with the links and click on the link for your product. This will bring you back into My COMET and you can go through the same process again. There we are. I'll hand back over to Dan and he will have a look at player registrations with you.
Perfect, thanks Becky. So what I'm going to do now is just touch on a bit of player registration information for you that's developed over the past few weeks. So as a summary, all of your amateur players are continuously registered with your club. This means that you don't need to re-register these players for the 2020-21 season. However, there are two exceptions which you do need to be aware of. So firstly, eligibility registrations. These are only valid for one season at a time. So any players that had the eligibility type last season have had their registrations automatically terminated at the end of the 2019-20 season. The players received emails on the 1st of June to inform them that their eligibility registration had ended on the 31st of May 2020. And this was also on the COMET page. It showed the date too as the 31st of May. And then also, for legal reasons, all junior players that registered with their clubs when they were 15 years old, but have since turned 16, will also need to re-register. So basically, this is anyone from the under 16 age group. And this is because when they signed the form, it would have been their parent or guardian agreeing to the terms and conditions on their behalf. But as they've now turned 16 and are eligible for adult football, when they're signing for adult teams now or youth teams, they need to sign this on their own behalf to confirm they agree and will comply to any terms and conditions in place. So again, all of these players received emails on the 1st of June to inform them that the registration had ended on the 31st of May. And the end date also would have been on the COMET system all season, just showing that it would have been expiring on the 31st of May. Clubs are reminded to ensure that they review their list of player registrations on COMET very carefully to ensure that they're aware of which players are or aren't registered to their club. Only players with a confirmed registration are eligible to participate for the club, subject to any FAW rules and/or regulations. So just a quick update on the 2019-20 season player registration fees. So the FAW has decided not to charge a registration fee for any player registrations that were confirmed by the FAW's player registration team on or after the 1st of March. For registrations confirmed by the player reg department on or after the 1st of March that have not yet been paid for, the FAW will arrange to write off these transactions. And then for any registrations that were paid for before this date, the FAW will arrange to refund you the appropriate amounts. So the FAW will send affected clubs a calculation of any proposed refund amount. The refund will be processed via bank transfer, and the FAW will make contact with the relevant clubs to sort this. So in terms of payment for the 2020-21 season, for players that are currently registered with your club, you will have up until the 31st of August to terminate an existing player's registration without incurring a charge for the 2021 season. So again, just to highlight, if the season does start later than usual, this date may well be pushed back, but at the moment, this is the date we've been working towards. So we'd advise clubs at this time to work towards this date. As it states on the slide there, yeah, if it is pushed back further, it will be moved back accordingly. The way it's going to work is that on midnight 31st of August, these registrations will automatically be renewed. This will then trigger the re-registration fee for the 2020-21 season, and this will appear in your club's COMET account. Clubs will then have 7 days to pay this fee. So in brackets, you can see there's by the 7th of September, if it is going to be the 31st of August. However, for any new players registering to your club, so for example, when the window opens, if you transfer a player in from another club, as soon as that player's new registration is confirmed, the relevant fee will appear in your club's COMET account, and you will then have 7 days to pay this registration fee. If a payment is not made within 7 days, then the player will automatically be ineligible for selection until such a time as the fee has been paid. So I'm now going to touch on player eligibility. So this is basically the one player being able to play for multiple clubs. This exception was still in place for this coming season. So player eligibility is when a player can register to play adult football with Club A, and then eligibility to play youth team football for Club B, and only to play for that youth team at Club B. And also a player can register to play for an FAW academy at Club A, and then on an eligibility registration to play for one junior grassroots team only at Club B. Once an eligibility has been confirmed by the FAW, it only allows that player to play for the specified team at Club B. It does not allow the player to play for any other teams at that second club. Then in relation to a player's FIFA player passport, only the player's main registration with Club A will appear on the document. With player eligibilities, the main registration must always be with either the adult club or the FAW academy, not the youth team at Club B or the grassroots team at Club B. For the 2020-21 season, all eligibility registrations will now be free of charge, but the main registration will still need to be paid as usual by Club A, which holds the main registration. Academies will have up until the 31st of July to release any players that they definitely know will not be coming back to the academy. This will then allow junior clubs to be free to register these players. If a youth player or junior player registered with their club and the player subsequently decides to register for an academy or an adult club, then the way this works is that the player will be required to transfer to the adult club or the academy, and then eligibility will need to be applied for by the junior club. And likewise, the other way round, if a player is granted to play eligibility for a youth or a junior grassroots club, whilst being registered for an adult club or the FAW academy, if that registration with the adult or the academy was to be cancelled during the season, this eligibility registration with the second team would then need to be moved across to become the main registration. This will then trigger the relevant player registration charge for the 2021 season. So, key things to remember when submitting a registration request to the FAW. So to help ensure the requests get actioned as quickly and efficiently as possible, please remember the following points when submitting a form. So firstly, all requests must be submitted within 5 business days of the player or parent guardian signature. If this is not done, unfortunately, this registration will have to be cancelled and it will get rejected, and you'll get a notification to inform you of this. With regards to signatures, these can't be hand typed, so it must be signed. So whether this is via pen, via hand, or whether it's done digitally by a phone, as long as it's signed by the individual, this will be accepted, but you can't just type it in normal text using your laptop keyboard. As you can see on the page here, there is a guide for how to do this. If you click on the link, it will take you through to that guide. In the case of a player previously registered in another nation, i.e. they will need an international transfer into Wales, the club must ensure that the COMET is properly completed, so you need to put the name of the previous club and the country that this player is coming from within the notes section. It's really important you put this information in because the FAW need to know which nation they need to request clearance from. So if we don't have this information, it will delay the process because we're then having to find out from yourselves which nation the person's coming from and then having to go to the other nation to request clearance. And also something that's new this year when it comes to international transfers is that these must all be processed via FIFA TMS in addition to a club using the FAW COMET system. So once you've started the registration process via COMET, please don't proceed to submit or complete this registration until you've also uploaded the information on FIFA TMS. So the player registrations department have already sent out information on this, and this has been communicated to clubs. So what are the different scenarios to register a player on COMET? You may need to register a player in the following scenarios. So if you're transferring in a player who's actively registered at a different club in Wales, that's domestic transfer. If you're looking to register a player that has a record on COMET, but is currently unattached to a club, so whether they've been previously registered with your club or they're going to be new to your club, it's just how to register a player if they're not currently registered. Registering a player whose previous club was in another country, so they may require international clearance. How to create a new record on COMET. So if, for an example, if you've got an under-6 player who's never played in Wales, so won't have a record on the system, you may need to create a registration record for them and then look to get them registered. And finally, how to register a player on eligibility. So if they're currently registered with an adult or academy club, how to request eligibility so that they can register with yourselves at Club B if you're a youth team or a grassroots junior team. So what I'm now going to do is just quickly run through each type for you just to give a recap on how to do this. So please note, guides on every single one of these types of registration will be on the COMET support website. And when we send out this presentation afterwards, it will have links to the relevant sections on for you. So what I'm going to do now is just share my screen, and then we'll look to run through each quickly just to give you a reminder and a refresher of how to do each. So I'm just going to show you this via the FAW COMET demo. And at this stage, because players are continuously registered now, the most common type of registration you may be looking to do when the window opens will be a domestic transfer. So if you're looking to transfer in players from another club. So the way a transfer works on COMET is that the new club will always start the process by moving the registration to entered whilst the player is currently registered with their current club. The current club will then need to release this player, and this will send a notification to the new club and the player to inform them that they can now proceed to register with Club B. So in this example, I'm User Guide FC. I'm going to go into search for the player because they're not currently with my club. So I'm going to do the search player section. Now, because they're not registered with my club, I need specific information. So this will either be the player's COMET ID or their surname in the family name box and date of birth. You'll notice your club name is already populated in the box. So because you're looking to search outside of your club, you need to take out your club name. In this example, I know the player's COMET ID, so I'm going to use this to search for the player. Then just click on search. Within the search results, then just click on the player's name. And this will take you through to their registration record. So as we can see here, I'm logged in as user guide FC, but the player is currently registered with FAW FC. So to start a domestic transfer, I simply need to start a new registration. So I click on the new registration button, check that the information is all correct and up to date, click on save, and this will now start the transfer process. So what we'll see now, the player's current registration is on the right-hand side, but then the new registration with the new club is also on the left-hand side. At this point, Club A, Club B, and the player will all receive an email just explaining what the next steps are. So Club A needs to release the player or contact the player registrations department if there's any issues. Club B need to submit the registration form, but they can't proceed until a certain time has passed as per the FAW rules. And then once the player has been released by Club A, Club B can then look to complete the registration. If you go into your transfers tab on the national transfer section, this is where you can keep up to date with all your club's transfer activity. So any players that may be coming in or going out of your club will be in this national transfers button on the left-hand side. If a club has completed the relevant action, their colour will change from orange to green. And if a club needs to action something, it will remain in orange. Once both clubs have done what they need to, it will then be the FAW that will change colour, and we will know that we need to action a registration. So that's how to do a domestic transfer. We'll now show you how to register an unattached player. So let's say in this example, the player has previously played for our club. Again, I'm going to go into the search players button. Now, if the player's previously played for the club, because my club name is in the search box, all I need to do is click on search. But if I knew the player was unattached but had never played for my club, I would simply take out the club name. But in this example, because we know the player has played for the club, I'm just going to click on search. Now, on the right-hand side, if the player is currently registered, their club name will be there. If the player was unregistered, this section would be blank. I would then just click on the player's name. This section would be blank, so there wouldn't be any registration. So all you need to do is click on the new registration button, and you can then begin the registration process. If any of the information needed updating, if any of the contact details, for example, if this was out of date, you'd simply click on the edit button, update the information such as the photo, anything in red, or the information, the address, and then you can proceed to submit the registration. The next top I'm going to show you is how to do an international transfer and how to make sure to do this properly. So again, I'm just going to use a player from our records within the club. Because they've previously registered with my club, I just need to click on search. Now, what the system does, if the player was born in England, it will notice the country of birth. If it's outside of Wales, if I tried to proceed, if I didn't have a club in Wales, the system would flag up that international clearance may be required. And also, if the previous club on the system was from outside of Wales, so for example, Manchester United, If I tried to register this player, again, the system would flag that I need to require international clearance. So when you're looking to register a player from another country, as well as filling in this information for your club, you would also need to input the notes in this section. So for example, so I'm just going to change that to entered int. Oh, sorry. I'm on the club account rather than the FAW one there. But basically what would happen then, that would change to submitted int, which basically means international clearance is required. And then this would go to the FAW to review this. Now, once the FAW review this, so what would happen? The FAW would have a dashboard on the left-hand side, and we would have a list of all the registrations that may require clearance. We would then request clearance from the relevant nation, and the registration type, the status, would change from submitted int to pending int. At this point, once it's changed to pending int, you would know that the FAW have requested clearance from the relevant nation. Now, one update for this season, which has been shared previously, but it's good news. International clearances will now take a maximum of 7 days, so it'll be a lot quicker in terms of turning this round once a registration request has been requested from another nation by the FAW. As soon as 7 days has been reached, or if the other nation gets back to us within 7 days, the FAW would then approve this registration, and that would go to confirmed, and the player would receive an email containing confirmation and a copy of their accident insurance cover and their ID card and some betting and integrity information. So I'll now show you how to register a player for the first time. So the example I touched on already, if you've got a 6-year-old looking to join your club for the first time, they will not have a record on COMET. So you need to go into the player section and click on first registration. What you now need to do is fill in all of the mandatory fields. So that is all these fields that are in red, as well as a photo of the individual, which you can upload via the choose button, or take a photo of the individual with your device if it's got a camera. And you also, within the contact section, you need to input the address of the individual. So to do the address, all you would do is input the postcode, click on the magnifying glass, and this would give you a full list of any addresses related to that postcode. Click on the address and it will fully populate this section. Once all the mandatory fields have been filled in, you would just click on the save button, and this registration will straight away have been moved to the first stage, which is entered. At this point, as you know, you now need to get the registration form signed by the individual to upload in the documents section, and then you can submit this request to the FAW for approval. So player eligibility, which I'll show you now. Again, it's very similar to requesting international clearance in terms of having to fill in the notes section. But the only difference would be is that instead of requesting international clearance, you just need to explain to us in the notes section whether you're looking to sign eligibility to play adult football for Club A and youth football for Club B, or whether you're looking for the player to play academy football at Club A or grassroots junior football at Club B. So if this player was registered for an academy, I would need to click edit, and I would need to put it in the notes section there that this player wishes to play for grassroots junior Club B whilst also being registered for Club A. You would then proceed in exactly the same way as any other registration. So you would need to get the registration form uploaded in the documents section and then submit this to the FAW for approval. What will happen and what you'll notice with eligibility registrations is that the registration form will be slightly different to a regular form. And this is just to ensure that the player and the club are perfectly clear that the eligibility is for one season and it's only for one team within the other club. When the player is confirmed, their registration card will also be a slightly different colour. And again, this is just to confirm that this is a different type of registration. So you can only register for one season and for one team within that other club. So the last type of registration would be, if the player is registered for your club, is how to cancel the registration. So if I go into my club section, and within my club, you'll have a full list of anybody registered to your club. So whether it's a player, a coach, or official, this is where all of your club's information is stored. So any player that would be on the confirmed status, find the relevant player. You would click on their name. And then you would click the edit button. Make sure to input the date that you're cancelling this registration. So this should also always be the date that you are cancelling the registration. You would select the termination reason as automatic, or for example, if the player is retiring, and there would be a terminate button here, and you would just click on terminate. Similar to if you're submitting a form, a pop-up box would appear, and you would just click the terminate button again, and this would immediately cancel the player's registration. This player's registration would then disappear from the active registration section, so they're no longer registered with your club, and the player will also have received an email just to inform them that the registration has been cancelled, so that they're in the loop as well and they're aware that this has happened. So that's a brief sort of run through of all the different types of registration. As I've said, further information on these transactions, these actions will be on the COMET support website. There'll be guides on how to do this. And if you do require any further assistance, you can contact us and we can look to assist you. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to pass back over to my colleague Becky to run through the next section of this webinar. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you. Just bear with me while I get the presentation back up. Okay, thank you, Dan. So thank you all for listening so far. We've covered most things and we're now going to look at the next steps. Can I just ask that if you have any questions about anything we've covered tonight, you put them in the Q&A section, and then we'll be able to deal with them all and respond to you about everything we've covered in this session following the webinar. So if you have put them in the chat section and you're able to put them in the Q&A section, that will help us not to miss any. Thank you. So looking at the next steps, these are the next things you can do to get ready for the season on COMET. You can update your club information on your My COMET page. Excuse me, just skipped forward. If you haven't already done so. You can continue to register your coaches and staff, not forgetting to move them from entered to submitted so that the FAW can process the registrations. And you can also continue to register your officials, which you can self-approve, moving them from entered to confirmed yourself when you've uploaded the signed registration form. From Monday, you'll be able to start registering any new players following the processes that Dan has just showed you. And you'll also be able to pay your club affiliation fees. If your club is taking part in competitions that will be on COMET in the coming season, so that's adult, youth, FAW Academy, girls football, and the Flintshire Junior League under 12s to under 16s, you'll need to enter the competitions via COMET. And as we've said, we'll publish all the links to those competitions when they are open, and that will be from Monday the 27th. And also keep in mind that the club accreditation application window will open in August. We'll confirm the date of that shortly, and that you'll need to keep registering your coaches, staff and officials so they're all registered before you can fully submit and complete your club accreditation application. In relation to player registrations, now's the time to start thinking about which of your current players are staying with you and who won't be returning to your club for next season. And for those that are staying with your club, apart from the exceptions that we mentioned earlier, you don't need to do anything on COMET because they're continuously registered. And you can see the list, as we've said, in your My Club page on the Players tab. For those who are not returning, you have until the 31st of August to terminate their registrations, as we've just shown, without incurring a charge. And just to reiterate, we may push this date back if the season dates are pushed back, and everyone will be informed of that. And we'd also advise that you collect your player registration fees before your club is charged, because the fee will rest with the club if you haven't done so. In terms of future training, competition management will be covered in phase 3. We'll confirm the date when we know more about the start of the season. It's important to us that it's done nearer the start of the season so that it's fresh for all clubs. And this will cover submitting team lineups, entering match events, so that's goals, bookings and substitutions, and how you access competition management reports. So there's some really useful reports on COMET that we hope will be helpful for you. And just to remember, this only applies to the clubs in COMET competitions, which will be adult, youth, FAW Academy, girls football and junior, Flintshire Junior League under 12s to under 16s for the coming season. So we're just finishing the phase 2 webinar. And as you can see there, the phase 3 competition management as we head towards the start of next season. Just to remind you of the key support resources, we've got a growing library of user guides, written and videos, on the COMET support website. And this also includes other information like insurance information, key contacts as well. If you need to contact us, you can raise a help ticket via COMET. There's even a user guide which tells you how to ask for help on COMET. Or you can send an email to the relevant FAW department. So we would recommend trying to direct this to the right email address to make sure you get a quicker response. And you can see the list of the email addresses to contact here. Thank you for taking into account that a lot of our staff are currently furloughed. We've been really grateful that most of the communication has come by email rather than on the phone, because this helps us deal with it more efficiently as we're all working remotely. So if you can continue either to raise help tickets or send emails, that's a real help to us, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can. Thank you all for listening. Before we show you the answers to the quiz that we showed you at the beginning, I want to thank you all for your time. We'll leave this open, the webinar open for a bit, so you can put any remaining questions about what we've covered tonight in the Q&A section. And we'll be sending out a link to this webinar and to the presentation as soon as we can tomorrow. And then the answers to all the questions that have been put in the Q&A will follow as soon as we can, probably at the beginning of next week, as we want to be able to give full answers to all the questions. So thank you very much.